Let's go ahead and get going. We know a few more people will join us, and we will welcome them as they come. But I'm so happy you're able to join us today for the Aligned Habits Workshop. I love this workshop. This was our first workshop. We're now doing a different workshop each week. So we have basically 4 workshops each month, I guess, depending on how many Thursdays there are in a month. I guess occasionally we might have 5. But really glad that you're here. And welcome to Inspiration Nation. If you haven't joined us before for any of our workshops or any of our events, this is a wonderful community of folks who are looking to expand their personal, professional, and spiritual lives and get some inspiration and also tips and tools to grow your life and to get habitually inspired. I don't know if you can see my shirt I'm wearing today. I'm habitually inspired, and I hope that you are too. And I'm going to give you a bunch of tools and resources in order for you to align your habits with your true self and your big goals. And today's a really powerful way to do that. So I'm excited that you're here. A couple of announcements I want to make before we get going. Like I said, grab a pen and a journal or something to write on, preferably not on your computer or your phone. You want to be fully engaged here, fully present. The physical act of writing is great. Also, feel free to share. More than happy for you to be, on camera and unmuted if you do want to share. Keep it civil, but you're always welcome to share. And we will have opportunities for sharing. If you don't want to, be on camera, by all means, join us in the chat. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of engagement. Just let me ask you a question. What's one habit that you wish you could stick to that would change your life? What's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? And just take a moment. You can put that in your chat, in the chat in Zoom. You can also feel free to shout it out. Always happy to hear from everyone. While you're thinking about that, what's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? While you're thinking about that, I also want to mention another thing, and that is, don't feel like you have to take a ton of notes today, because we will make the entire recording from today. We'll make the replay available, and we will also be sending you some of the helpful resources and tools that we're talking about today, like the True Goals worksheet and the Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker. So don't feel like you got to scribble away furiously. Instead, I want you to be fully present and focused. And so let's see. Let me get mine. One habit that would change my life. I haven't really put this one before. I've always said exercise. I have in my habit tracker, one thing I don't always get to is exercise or yoga. I've been getting there more regularly. I'm feeling good. It's springtime. I'm getting active. I actually say financial freedom, practice daily. Yeah, that's one thing I don't have in my habit tracker. I might incorporate. Diane, you got keeping my mindset focused on the life you desire. We will definitely help you with that today. I spend a lot of my time working on that and writing about that and providing tools and resources for you. Let's see. We also got Stop Procrastinating. Sheila. And procrastination, something we actually discussed procrastination. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, but we discussed procrastination a decent amount in the Focused and Free Break the Distraction Cycle workshop that we'll be doing next week. We talk about procrastination. Mark, consistency. And Mark, I got you on consistency. Hopefully some of the things we discussed today will help you with consistency. Rachel, sleep routine, so incredibly powerful and important for our well-being and for our health. Mel Robbins actually had her podcast today. It was more about brain health and dementia and preventing dementia. But sleep was definitely something that the doctors she had on earlier today referenced. And sleep is so vitally important. I try to make sure I get 7 hours of sleep every night. I do have a section in my upcoming book, Be the Light in the Mirror, where I do talk about sleep when I'm talking about healthy habits. If you haven't yet done it, if you do our True Self Project, in our True Self project, I do have a day that we allocate where we discuss getting quality sleep. So we certainly cover that. It's so important. I try to get to sleep by 10 so I can wake up at 5 in order to be able to meditate and journal. And iPhone user, you got keeping up with all the small things. I don't know. I might disagree with you on that. I don't know that you need to keep up with all the small things. I don't think all the small things would change your life. I think the question was, uh, what's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? And yeah, there's a great quote I tell my wife all the time, and sometimes she says to me, but I don't know that we always follow it. But it's don't sweat the small stuff. Dot dot dot. It's all small stuff. Uh, and it's really the big things that we need to keep up with. So hopefully we'll be discussing that a lot today. Maybe it'll even challenge your thought on whether you do or don't need to keep up with the small things. A lot of the small things are just distractions, but maybe for you there's some of those small things that need to get elevated to bigger things or bigger priorities, and we will talk about prioritization as well. All right, we are locked and loaded and ready to go now, so let's do it. So first, before we get completely engaged in talking about our true self, our goals, and our habits, I do want you to get fully grounded. I want you to be fully present here now. Be here now, as Ram Dass famously said. I want you to join me in just taking a moment to get fully grounded. So if you are sitting in a chair, try to sit still with your feet planted on the ground. You can even have your hands on your lap, or maybe sort of hands on top of each other, cupped in front of your belly, like this. You can even do a mudra, which is putting your hands, in yoga type or meditation type position like that. The reason we do that is because a mudra creates an electronic circuit which returns energy and vitalizes energy within our body. Whatever you decide to do, sit calmly, sit quietly, and we're just going to take like 2 minutes. Don't feel like you're going to have to sit here in meditation for the next hour and a half. We're just going to take a few moments to get fully present here. Try not to look at any screens. In fact, the better thing to do right now is to close your eyes. If closing your eyes is uncomfortable, maybe just drop your gaze down low. And if possible, breathe through your nose. Just feel the air coming in and going out. Just notice an inhale followed by an exhale. And try not to stay stuck on any thoughts. Thoughts will come and go, but you want to focus on your breath. As you do that, you might feel the air coming in and out through the base of your nostrils, and maybe you feel the air going over that little space between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. Or maybe you feel your chest expanding and contracting. You might even put your hand on your heart and then put your other hand over that hand. Feel your chest expanding and contracting. Maybe feel your belly rising and lowering. Just notice an inhale followed by an exhale, breathing in and breathing out. This is an opportunity to just quiet your mind and open your heart. Don't get stuck on a sound or a thought. Return to the breath. And if you do get distracted, that distraction is a perfect opportunity inviting you to begin again and return to your breath. Don't be annoyed if it feels awkward or if you do get distracted. It's always just an opportunity to begin again. To help follow the breath, you might even say something such as love in, love out, or air rising, air lowering, or any set of words that might work with the breath in and the breath out. Just noticing your natural breath. And now that you've discovered your natural breath, let's take a couple deep cleansing breaths. You can keep your eyes closed or you can open them if you wish, but we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose, hold it, and then sigh it out. So take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it, and sigh it out. Sigh it out, like feeling the air through the back of your throat. You want to take a deep breath in through your nose again, hold it, and sigh it out. All right, we got one more, and then we're going to really get going here. All right, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, take in little sips of air, hold it at the top, and then let it all go. Letting go of anything that's been holding you back, anything that's kept you stuck, letting go of these things that make us feel like we aren't enough or we're not doing it right or that we wish we could do these things we can't because you can. And so today we're going to release that negative self-criticism and we're going to get into some real action to be able to live the life of your dreams. So if you've struggled to stay consistent, you're not falling short in life. You may just have been trying to force a version of success that wasn't aligned with who you truly are. And today, we're going to reset that and we're going to rebuild from your true self. So here's what we're going to cover today. I want to make sure you understand what we're going to do. We're going to first discuss why most goals fail. Second, how to set the right goals. Third, how to build supportive habits. And fourth, how to stay on track. And that means, hey, get back up when life throws you off your routine. So, a lot of methodologies or a lot of systems show us how to do things, but it doesn't necessarily tell us how to stay resilient, how to get up when life knocks us off, because it does all the time, all the time. I've had some of the most challenging few months of my life, and I've continued to just breathe through it, stay focused on my habits, and accelerate towards my dreams instead of getting pushed off. Not that I haven't wanted to at times, but I've stayed focused. So we're going to discuss how you stay on track. Now, there's a great quote by Napoleon Hill who said, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything." So, if you have a desire to make this your best year ever and move past all that's been holding you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we're going to turn that desire into action. We're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action you can take today to live the life of your dreams. We're going to do this by aligning your dreams with your habits. So we're not just here to talk about aligned habits and how you get those habits. We're going to start with aligning them with your dreams, with your true self, with who you're meant to be. So how do I know that this works? Well, I guess because over the last 8 years, I've done a ton of work on this, and I've arrived at a place that allowed me to learn the lessons from a lot of trial and error and doing a ton of deep research into personal development and aligning our habits with our goals to get to a point where my big goals and my daily habits are aligned so I can live the life of my dreams every day. And with 7 kids ranging from 4 to 17 and running 2 businesses, I have to be focused and disciplined in order to ensure that we all can live happy and productive lives. Now, I'm going to save you years worth of learning and mistakes that I've made as a parent, an entrepreneur, as a seeker of spiritual enlightenment. And I'm going to make it so that you can get there a lot faster, so that you can become who you're meant to be, to live the life of your dreams now. Does that sound good? All right, come on, we're going to go ahead and get going. But don't worry, it's not that hard. It just requires a system that works for you, and that's what we're going to work on today. So first, let's discuss, as I mentioned, the first area we're going to cover is why goals fail, so that we can show that there is a way past failed goals or resolutions or things not working out. There is a way. At the beginning of last year, we held this great inspiring course. It was an 8-week course called Thrive in 25. And it was to kick off last year right. And in that, we did some research at the start of the course. It was actually, I say research, it was a LinkedIn post I saw that said less than nine, and I then did research to see if that was actually true after I saw the post, but less than 9% of adults, meaning achieve one New Year's goal or resolution, meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach zero of them. Reach zero of them. And how sad is that? So many people set things that they want to do for their lives and they don't ever get there. Now, here are some of the common reasons that goals don't stick. First, an unclear vision. Second, external pressure. And by external pressure, I'm going to add to that distractions. Next week, like I said, we're going to do the focused and free break the distraction cycle workshop. When we started doing this workshop, the Aligned Habits workshop, we realized that it was distractions that are keeping so many people from their goals. So we want to, discuss external pressures or distractions. Also, another reason goals fail is unrealistic pace, meaning you set some goal for yourself, but you do it in such a compressed time frame that you get frustrated when you're not getting there and you think you're failing when all you had to do was perhaps maybe stretch it out a little bit. Now, we do want you to be setting really big goals and doing it in a short time frame because those deadlines push you forward, but you also have to have a realistic pace, not a realistic goal. I want you to have big, impossible goals, but maybe give yourself a little bit of time to get there and have milestones to getting there. Now, the last reason, and perhaps most importantly, as to why goals fail, is lack of identity alignment, meaning the goals you set are not aligned with your true self. So, a lot of times we set goals, but I know I've certainly set goals in the past when I wasn't operating as my true self. I was chasing some goal that I thought society or, family or someone wanted me to achieve, that I thought I should achieve, but it wasn't aligned with who I truly was. So we're going to talk a lot about identity alignment and your true self. Now, you're going to see a lot of quotes today, and I love quotes, and you'll get these, and I regularly share quotes also on social media and other places, but there's a great quote by Robert Brault, who said, "We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far, but because we're distracted by what is right in front of us. Does scrolling through news or social media get you to your goal faster? No, it fills your brain with negative inputs of others, wastes your time, and takes your mind off of what matters most. Again, we're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. We're always getting distracted by something that's right in front of us. Like these folks right here. They were distracted by a sign that said, "Great view over here," when their real goal was to get to the summit of the mountain. Their real goal was to continue on like these folks. But instead, they followed that sign that said, "Great view," and they went over there. They got distracted by a lesser goal. But these folks made it to the summit because they didn't get distracted. And the view is so much better from there. So it's really important to not follow those lesser goals. And those detours are everywhere. Our addictions to the phone, alcohol, drugs, the negative news, our friends just pulling us in different directions, they keep us distracted from our goals. The distractions take us from what matters most, from our big dreams and from our loved ones. Relating to distractions, Blaise Pascal, who is a famous French inventor and mathematician, said, "Distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries." Distraction is the greatest of our miseries, this brilliant thinker said. Distraction is the greatest of our miseries. That's why we decided to do the focused and free workshop, Break the Distraction Cycle. We're doing it next week. We put a ton of time and research in getting you off of the distraction cycle, getting you focused on your goals. Now, even if you're someone who's not distracted by all the modern distractions in life, many of us are kept from our real goals by that clear path to lesser goals. And misaligned goals create confusion, anxiety, and burnout. Misaligned goals create confusion, anxiety, and burnout. And so many folks are chasing the wrong goals. And that's why we don't hit them. That's why 91% of people don't hit their goals, because it's not aligned with who you're meant to be. And also for misaligned goals, I mean, there's so many seemingly successful people in this world. They have all the trappings of life that people think they're supposed to have, meaning, money and houses and second houses and cars and bling and everything we think we're supposed to have. But those seemingly successful people aren't happy. They may be achieving professional and work success, but they're just accomplishing small daily tasks that keep them making money but not very successful internally. They're just going through the motions. I mean, I felt like that when I was at a big law firm, working on billions of dollars of public finance transactions, meaning bond deals for governments and municipalities and towns and school districts. And it was work that I enjoyed, helping fund schools and airports and things like that. But I was just going through the motions. I was on the hamster wheel, just doing daily tasks. Now, to others, that might appear like success, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I was not fulfilled personally, professionally, spiritually. Inside, a lot of those people are unhappy because they're not aligning their daily habits with their big goals, meaning these people that seem seemingly successful. And when you're just going through the motions in order to work, there's a great quote I like to say, I may say it later, but don't go through the motions at work, make your motions work. It creates confusion and leads to burnout if you're not doing what you know you're meant to be. You go one way when your true self knows you should go another. And it creates anxiety and confusion. But when you're clear on your true self and your goals are aligned with your true self, you have clarity. Clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. Clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious to you and to others. People know your confidence when you're clear on who you're supposed to be and your true self is aligned with your goals and your habits. You're in a daily rhythm of being clear and confident, and you know that, and everyone else knows that, and that brings love, happiness, and success. Now, before we start getting into it, we got to finish up why goals fail. Now, another reason goals fail, even if they are clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. We all have a small voice within that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life and nudges us to our personal and professional dreams and clamors for love and happiness. I want you to give a megaphone to that small voice within. This is your true self. And it's your higher power directing you where to go. When you listen to your inner voice, you are aligned and you're living on purpose. A lot of people ask, what's my purpose? We're going to go through an exercise that's going to help you find that. And I'm happy to help provide more advice on that as well if you're looking for more. When you're clear on your goals and they are aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. The alignment brings excitement and confidence to every single day. And you move towards your goals every day because you're clear on what they should be. And you are in that 9% who achieve their goals, not the 91% who don't. Now, I mentioned earlier having a pen or pencil and piece of paper, your journal, something to write with and something to write on. Now, I want you to pull those out and think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? Think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? And you can include one of these, the unclear vision, distractions, unrealistic pace, or lack of alignment, meaning lack of alignment with your true self. Take 2 minutes maybe right here. Think of a goal or goals that you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? You can pick one of these or even one of your own if you can think of something else as well. And take just another few seconds, maybe 30 seconds or so, and think about that. And I do want to, say you should definitely do some of these exercises afterwards as well. It gives some of these thought. Well, particularly as we get to some of the later exercises, you will want to do that. Meaning go back later and journal some of these and give them some more thought. All right, let's go through these. We got all these, especially distractions and pace. For me, I said Blue Sky Power, which was a clean energy company that I still run, but I've been doing it for 18 years and am not loving doing it anymore. And the goals I set for that, I mean, even a few years ago, or working with my team on setting those, they weren't aligned with my true self. I was in an industry I didn't love. And, now I realize writing books and inspiring you is what I'm meant to do. So I love doing it. I've never been any happier. And I realized it was because they weren't, my prior goals weren't aligned with my true self. Chad, you got unclear vision, not just of the goal, but on what it would take to reach it. And Diane, my new goal was outside of what my subconscious beliefs, outside of your subconscious beliefs about who I am, and allowed me to go after. And there we go. Thanks for adding. If anyone else wants to add anything, by all means, you can add them in there as we're going along. So thank you guys for doing those. We're going to start moving into this next section. And, I want you to know it's good to talk about having good habits. But where are they getting you? Now we're going to talk about setting big, expansive goals and ones that excite you. So we're not just going to set habits. First, you got to set your goals so you know what habits you should even have. I know a lot of people want good, healthy habits, but they got to get you to who you're meant to be, not just setting habits that you might not stick with and fall off. You need real alignment, meaning aligning your goals with your true self, and then your habits with your goals will set you up for success. So, you need to know where your habits are getting you. Are they aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? So if you want clarity in your life, you need to know where you're headed. You need to set goals, and you need to make them big. I mean, really big goals, because small goals don't get you excited. They don't get you anywhere. You need to set goals, and you got to make them big. So, where do you want to be in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? Don't worry about where you are right now in life. It really doesn't matter if you're 30 or 50 or 70 or 90. There is no end to what you can achieve at any age and at any point, but you have to think bigger. Yeah, like Rachel said, goals have to equal purpose. Or maybe there's a question mark, but I will clarify that for you. If it's a question, I will answer it for you. If it is a statement, goals have to equal purpose, then yes, I agree with you. Your goals need to have purpose or be tied to your purpose. So I want to know, what is your big inspired goal? And if you don't know it, I'm going to help you figure it out. We're going to talk about today, what seems outrageous to others, but in your heart of hearts is what you are meant to do. This is your North Star. That is your direction that you need to head. You may have known it your whole life. You may just have discovered it more recently, but it is where you need to head. Now, the problem is that people set goals a lot of times as though they're going to be themselves, but just a little bit different in a couple years. But here's the question. Are you the same person you are today that you were 10 years ago? Now, I'm 51. I look at where I was at 41 10 years ago. I'm a totally different person. I mean, gosh, I have 5 more kids than I had 10 years ago, which is just absolutely nuts. And if you asked me then that end up here, I would have said no. But, if you asked me then if I'd be an author and inspirational speaker, I don't know. I might have said maybe, but I don't think that was in my goals. The point is, we set goals a lot of times. and we set plans as though we're going to be ourselves just a little bit older. But it's really just not the case at all. You'll be a totally different person in 10 years. So we're going to talk about making big goals to think beyond the limits of where you are today. There's this concept called prospection, which means to look at all the different prospects or probabilities in life. It's the ability to mentally represent and evaluate possible futures. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes planning and imagining future scenarios. When we envision future scenarios, the problem is most people limit ourselves to what we know now. But there's no limit. There's no limits. There are no limits at all. And our goal in this workshop is to open up our minds to think without limits. So as a young lawyer, look, I worked myself so hard that I got MS, multiple sclerosis. Lack of sleep and stress were my triggers. I ended up with lesions in my brain and my spinal cord. And I actually then had lesions in each of my optic nerves where I lost sight in my eyes until those optic nerves gradually recovered. Now, thank God, I've now gone almost 20 years without another flare-up. And I even took myself off medication over 9 years ago because I was living a life that was aligned with my true self and I wasn't burning myself out. And, you know, it was really traumatic when I was in my late 20s and early 30s and going through that. But our body is miraculous, though. It heals itself when we care for it properly. And, you know, I slowed down a little then, but as a lawyer and then young entrepreneur and young parent, I wasn't listening to that still small voice inside. I was just running in circles and hoping that things would get better, just on the hamster wheel, not really improving myself or learning or growing. You know, I knew I wasn't living as my true self. In the summer of 2018, I had a complete awakening. I decided I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decided to work on improving myself and to start listening to my inner voice and to start growing again. Now, since that point, so almost 8 years ago, I've done intense study on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. And this 8-year journey has been extraordinary and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and my personal, professional, and spiritual growth. So that I'm not just running in circles, not just running faster and faster on the hamster wheel without getting anywhere. Now I have clear paths forward and I bring those to life by clear goals and habits to help me live as the person who would achieve those goals. Now, have I gotten there completely? No, it's continually a work in progress, but you always have something to reach for. And once I saw the light in the mirror, meaning I saw myself with love in the mirror and let go of self-criticism, it dawned on me, I'm meant to inspire others. That's what my true self is meant to do. That's what that still small voice inside was trying to tell me for decades. Living as a lawyer and clean energy entrepreneur isn't living as my true self. I'm not making enough impact every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my calling. What is your true calling? What is your true calling? We're going to work on finding that out today. Now, in the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams, which you can do today by living as your true self. You can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. Don't go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. We're here to set big goals and then create a clear path to achieve those goals, followed by the habits that will make your future come to life. That's how you're going to thrive in 2026. Be bold and be specific. Be bold and be specific. Famed business strategist and author of the book Good to Great, if you ever read it, if not, you probably should, Jim Collins, said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. We're going to set no more than 3 big goals. Everyone is so scattered trying to do everything well that we give everything only our partial attention. That's why a lot of people don't hit their goals. Have no more than 3 big goals. And then execute on those relentlessly. If you want to thrive in 2026 and achieve big goals, you have to limit your focus. Limit the focus and say no to a lot more. We created a system in order to do that because I started saying, here's a system that works, or here's how you go from discovering your true self to finding big goals and tracking your habits. But we didn't have it as a system until after I finished my book. And then Chad said, hey, this is actually a system that you've created. So the True Self system, which is available on our website if you haven't downloaded it, helps you refine your goals and then set daily habits that makes achieving or realizing your goals inevitable. So here's what I do. First, I envision a future of myself 10 years in the future, or even 3 or 5 years, depending on the frame I'm looking at. I envision myself, 10 years in the future, who's happier, kinder, and wiser than I am now. I meditate on that person, and I imagine spending time with them. I then write a letter from my future self to my current self. So I write a letter for myself 10 years from now to myself today. And it's usually filled with grace, encouragement, and pride, but also allows me to see where I'm supposed to be in 10 years. So I'm not just picking a goal at random saying, hey, where might I get to, being limited by myself. Instead, I see an inspired future, and that directs me where to go. Then I imagine meeting myself again, but in only 3 years, on my way to that big future. I choose 3 years because it's far enough for substantial change in 3 years, but it's close enough that you can feel it and touch it. Most of us can visualize 3 years from now, but it's not so distant that you can't clearly imagine it. Then, after I've done that, after envisioning getting closer to my future self in 3 years, then I fill out my True Goals worksheet. According to that vision, where I set, my big goals for the next, where I want to be roughly in 3 years. And then we break those big ideas down into tiny steps you can take every day to accomplish those. So we post, I then post those goals, meaning once we have 3-year goals, we then break those into annual, quarterly, and monthly goals. And I post my goals at my desk and on the mirror in the bathroom, and I'm reminded constantly. And that way, when I get distracted, when I get pulled off, when a challenge comes up, I look at it again multiple times a week to know what my goals are and know what I need to say no to. Most of the most successful people are not successful by what they say yes to. They're successful by what they say no to. So you want to make your goals big and simple. You want to take away all the nonsense that wastes your day. You want to get rid of all the distractions and focus on your goals. You want to get ready to climb higher than you ever have before because it's your time to thrive. Now pull out those pens and paper again, or your journal. And I want you to get grounded like we did earlier. I want you to close your eyes if possible, or bring your gaze down low. And we're going to work on visualizing meeting yourself 10 years from now. And we're going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to do this. So I want you to return to your breath, breathing in and breathing out, noticing an inhale followed by an exhale. Like I said, close your eyes or bring your gaze down low. Return to feeling fully present. No scrolling. This is not now time to check your email or shoot a text or get on social media. This is time to meet your true self. Once you've found your breath, noticing the breath coming in and going out, feeling fully alive and connected in your body, grounded and being here now. I want you to go to your happy place or your power place. I want you to visualize seeing yourself where you are the strongest. Maybe it's a real place, maybe it's a place you imagine. Maybe it's your backyard, or maybe it's a mountaintop, or maybe it's the beach, or maybe it's a place you love being on vacation, where you're calm and peaceful and happy. Where have you felt most alive, most at peace, most yourself? Maybe it's just a hike in the woods, or the beach, or a mountain. When you go to your happy place, or your power place, visualize meeting yourself from 10 years in the future. Maybe they approach you, maybe you approach them. What do you notice about that person? What are they wearing? How do they carry themselves? Spend some time meeting your true self. Ask them how they spend their days. Ask them to spend some time with you, sharing their wisdom. Who is your true self? What is this person like that you meet from 10 years in the future? There are no limits. It's not you, but a little bit different. It's the you you're meant to be. It's the you that was put on this earth to achieve a purpose. It's the you who has released all of the pain and all of the doubt and all of the challenges and lives in harmony with life. Go spend some time and ask them to share their wisdom. take another few seconds here and wish your future self well. Thank your future self for spending some time with you, and begin to bring some presence back now. And remember, you can always do these visualization exercises. I encourage you to do this for 15, 20, 30 minutes or longer, spending time to see your true self. Now go ahead, without me interrupting much, and pull out your journal or a piece of paper and journal, what did your future self show you? And then after you've journaled, how that person appeared, what wisdom they shared with you, what were they wearing, how did they spend their days? Take a couple minutes to just journal what you saw and what you learned from your true self. And then write down, what are 3 big goals that align with your true self? Now, it doesn't have to be something you accomplish in a year. Just what are 3 goals sometime in the future, 3 big goals that align with your true self. 3 big goals. They can be insanely ambitious. They can be outlandish to everyone. Don't limit yourself. It's who you're meant to be. And we can help you create a path to get there. What are 3 big goals that align with your true self? So take a moment, just journal. What did you learn from your future self? And what are 3 big goals that align with your true self? Take a couple minutes to journal that, and feel free to share if you want, but we'll come back in just 2 minutes and get back to discussing further how we're going to align goals with habits. What did your future self show you? And what are 3 big goals that align with your true self? All right, let's go ahead and bring some presence again. I really encourage you to do these exercises after the workshop today, to take some time to meet your future self. And that version of you that you just met, confident, calm, clear, they're not that far away, but they do live on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. And the truth is, you don't think your way into becoming your future self. You have to experience your way into it. That's exactly why your habits are so important. They're how you make Sure, you're living as your true self each day. It's not just setting a goal way out there and hoping you get there. Instead, you're doing those things each day to become your true self. And becoming your true self and living your life on purpose can take years or even decades. And sadly, most people never even get there. Aligned habits shape your identity over time, which is why we created the True Self Project. It's a 30-day habit challenge. Through that 1 month experience, each day for 30 days, you'll be immersed in actions that help you make a habit of living as your true self so that you can live as your true self in just 1 month instead of taking a lifetime. And we're going to talk more about that at the end. But just for now, no, it's real and it's available for you. And part 3 now, we want to discuss building habits that reinforce your true self. Building habits that reinforce your true self. So that this way, we're able to see that your true self is able to be turned into repeatable, grounded action, your habits, which are your daily practice to becoming your true self. So as an example, just when I began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 8 years ago, it felt difficult, meaning to meditate. It felt awkward at first, but I stuck with it and it became natural, heartfelt, and habitual. And now it's a part of my daily routine. I gotta say, I meditated earlier today in one of the most profound meditations I think I've ever had, where I settled in, got deep into some very beautiful spiritual insight that I've never received before. And now it's a part of my daily life. It resets my nervous system. It gets me connected to my higher power and my inner voice and to God every day. Habits, both good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows I've had my bad habits, like smoking, using weed, staying up too late. But it's a lot easier to break bad habits when you have good habits and positive reinforcement to replace them. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Positive habits are the key to making your dreams and your goals come true. And it makes them real. It's not just, like I said, setting something out there and then hoping you get there. To get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. There's a saying, you can't improve what you don't measure, often attributed to Peter Drucker, but I guess there's question as to whether he actually said it. But we can't achieve what we don't measure. You want to measure and track that which you want to improve. You don't wait for the future to happen. It's totally awesome that you have envisioned your future self, your true self, as we did in that exercise. But you don't want to wait for it to happen. You don't want to wait 10 years to be that person. Start being that person you're meant to be now. Make that person, your true self, come to life now. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult or earth-shattering. You don't have to get to your big goal tomorrow, but you can start being that person now. So a great way to do this is using the habitually inspired habit tracker that we created, which is just a simple way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. So here are the habits I'm currently tracking, or I guess I was tracking in August. Now it's now April. They've changed a little bit, but what I'm tracking now is sleep by 10, wake by 5, meditate, journal. I now have upped it to 90 minutes of flow, my top priority. Read a spiritual book, read the Tao Te Ching. 30, 60 minutes of quality content. I've actually changed to shoot short content, exercise or yoga, and PM journal. And the evening journal is just a quick way of capturing your wins for the day, how you want to show up the next day, and your big 3 priorities for the next day. So you don't at all have to do these. You just want to do what works for you. I just want to explain the habit tracker for you. The chart's broken out by week. You just write the habits you want to work on, maybe practice regularly or improve, that will help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. those things that improve your mind, your body, and your spirit. And maybe you want to track progress on a work goal or a fitness goal or a financial goal or a relationship goal. For me, I lost over 35 pounds from tracking my intermittent fasting every day. And whatever works for you, whether it's fitness or financial or spiritual or a little bit of each. I mean, as you can tell, I've got some, sleep related, meditation, journaling. I mean, different thing, work related, exercise. But you just want to focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. You want to try to make those habits that will help you achieve your 3 big goals. Now, these habits aren't directly correlated to my goals, but they help me become the type of person who will achieve those goals. And when I stick to these consistently, I am becoming my true self. So the habit tracker is a great way to do it on paper or even digitally. Now, I've kind of gone back and forth between paper or doing this in Adobe. But like Alexander said, it creates accountability. I've been tracking daily habits now for over 6 years. And again, that quote from Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Now, it changes slightly from month to month based on what I'm working on or trying to improve. For example, I used to, as you see on there, meditate and journal right after waking up. But while I was working on my book, I replaced meditating and journaling with write my book from 5:30 to 7. And that way, I was able to write at the beginning of the day before there were any distractions, and my brain was in the right state. And I was able to get into a flow state for 90 minutes before I had to do anything else for the day. And it helped me hit the goal of writing my book in just 6 months because I did it every day and I tracked it. I made the commitment to myself and I hit my goal. Now, do I get to every single habit every single day? Sadly, no. Life gets in the way. Like I mentioned, I have 7 kids. And I might miss 1 or 2 or more of the habits. But on the days when I'm hit the most of my habits, on the days I'm at my best, I hit almost all of them all. And I make sure I do those things like my life depended on it. And you know what? My future self does depend on it. I can't reach my goals and be the person I'm meant to be if I'm not doing those habits that make me into the person that I know I'm meant to be. And as I go along, I have more days at my best and I hit them all more often. That which is being measured is actually improving. Track what works well for you, whatever it is. And you don't have to use these. These are just what felt right to me. Look at your goals you're setting. See what you need to do to hit those goals and make sure those areas are your daily habits. That person you dream of being, that person you met, what do they do each day? What does your true self do each day? You journaled about the vision of yourself in 10 years. What does that person do each day that you aren't doing now? How do they stay focused? Who have they become? What is that person like? What can you start doing today that helps you become that person? Pick those things and be the person by practicing each day, and you'll quickly become that person. You don't automatically become a superstar athlete, but if you practice every single day, you will get better and better and better and be at an elite level. It's the repetition. It's the reps. Put the reps in. It's what I was telling my 15-year-old daughter, just started playing tennis, and she joined the tennis team. And she had never really played tennis much until like this winter. And she started playing, and I was like, just get the reps in. And at first she was so despondent. The other girls are so much better than me. I'm never going to be able to do it. I said, just keep doing it, keep doing it. She's like, I can't serve. I said, keep serving. And she's gone out with buckets and buckets of balls. And she got in the car all giddy the other day because she was like, I finally got a bunch of my serves in. I said, that's what it is. Just get the reps in. You want to get the reps in. Start living like, dressing like, and being like the person you envisioned. It's you, but it's different. It's the person you are meant to be. You'll start to become that person. So the real question is, who do you want to become? And are you fired up to become that person? You got to be excited to get started. Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. You got to be excited to get going, but it's the habit that keeps you going. We're here to live aligned. That's why it's called the Aligned Habits Workshop, not just the Good Habits Workshop or the Productive Habits Workshop. It's the Aligned Habits. We're here to live aligned with our true selves, to set big goals that energize us for the future. But this time, we're going to accomplish those goals because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. So I want you to take a few minutes now. Again, pull out that pen, piece of paper, and you're going to get the habit tracker. If you don't have it already, you're going to get it tomorrow when we send out the recording from today's workshop. You're going to get the live recording, the replay, and you're also going to get the True Self Project or the True Self System, the True Goals Worksheet, and the Habitually Inspired Habit Tracker. So right now, just on a pen and a piece of paper, write down 5 to 10 habits that will help you achieve the big goals that you wrote earlier. What are 5 to 10 habits that help you achieve the big goals you wrote earlier? Now, they don't have to be step-by-step things to achieve those goals, but they at least should be the things that help you become the type of person who will achieve those goals. Take a couple minutes, maybe 3 minutes right now, and do that. And remember, you got to come back to this. This isn't just to do real quick during the workshop. Come back to this. Give it some more thought later. Watch the replay. Spend some time journaling these things and working on the habit tracker when you get it. So take 2 to 3 minutes right now. Just write down 5 to 10 habits that will help you achieve the big goals that you wrote earlier. All right, now take just another few seconds here. And again, you can always come back to these, but want to try to keep us on time. All right. Remember, keep working on these later. I want you to fill these in your habit tracker that you'll get tomorrow if you're not already using it. But now we want to talk about overcoming setbacks and building resilience so that nothing will stop you. You have the tools now, but now once you use these tools, you can't get dissuaded when you get knocked off or when things don't go how you expected them to go, because we know that they will. There will be challenges. There'll be days like this, Mama said. There'll be days like this. When you set aligned goals and you build the habits to match, you're not just chasing results, you're becoming someone new. Now, in the last few months, I've been through tons of challenges. We decided, it's been about 10 months of just one thing and then the next. It was about 10 months ago, Memorial Day weekend, my wife ruptured her Achilles right as school was about to end. And then, she had surgery and was in a wheelchair. I was taking care of her and all our kids. And, my goals were shot to hell. I ended up, having to put everything on hold. I could barely even have enough time to shower, eat, or take care of myself. I mean, I was running everywhere. I was making every meal, packing every lunch, tucking every kid in. I was the shuttle for all these people, and I was caring for my wife after having surgery and being in a wheelchair, and then, finally crutches, and then a boot, and things started to get better. And then we came up to vacation in Vermont in the mountains for the few weeks in the summer. And then we decided to stay and move here. We made the crazy decision to move here. And then she was still going back and forth with one of our daughters through January. And then we adopted my two goddaughters from North Carolina in January due to insane circumstance. And that happened. These last few months, it's been one thing after another. So we're trying to sell our house where we used to live. We're trying to close on a house up here in Vermont, which is contingent on selling that house. And it's one thing after another. But when you take a risk, meaning like deciding, hey, let's start a new life somewhere. We've lived in the same area for 20 something years. But I knew it was time to move on. My inner voice was telling me to go follow this path. And when you listen to your inner voice and you pursue a path, like inspiring you instead of doing my traditional business, it's not about whether you get to the end goal. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process. When you set a big, audacious goal, even if you fall short, you end up much further ahead than you would have been before. Tracking your habits isn't a test. You're not competing against anyone else. You don't need to beat yourself up if you don't hit all your habits every day. You're keeping track so that you can improve. And some weeks won't be as strong as others. But if you want to live in bliss and joy and happiness, then keep tracking and keep improving. It's not always perfect. But the more you work at it and trust your true self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self. No matter how busy you are and what negativity impacts your life, you're never too busy and too distracted to take 2 seconds to look yourself in the mirror, lock eyes with yourself, and say, I love you. It's absolutely transformational. You got to keep going. You got to keep implementing positive habits, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. You say, screw it, this isn't working for me. It's the perfect time to reset. When your computer isn't working properly, you reboot, right? When your phone or computer, whatever, gets the little spinning wheel of death, you go, oh no, I'm frozen, this isn't going to work. You reboot. When things aren't going well and you're off your game, reboot yourself. You do this by going back to your goals and your habits, and then begin again. Begin again. This is your reboot. Just like I said earlier when we were doing the guided visualization or the guided meditation earlier. Just begin again. You may get distracted by a thought. Begin again. Just return back to your breath. Here, return to your habits. Begin again. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. This is your reboot. This brings you back to your true self. When I say begin again, I'm meaning begin tracking your habits again. It brings you back to accelerating towards your big goals. It brings you back to authenticity. It brings you back to your true self. Your habits keep you going, and they help you get back up when life knocks you off. They get you back to who you're meant to be when a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day, and we all get them, right? When they knock you off track, just get back to tracking your habits, and you'll find alignment with your true self again. Now we're getting ready to close, but I want you to make some commitment. I think Alexandra mentioned accountability earlier. And yeah, I mean, yeah, Rachel has it right. Why are we kinder to others than we are to ourselves? It takes a bunch of deep work. And I finally found that place where I see true love in myself and allows me to see it in everyone and in everything else. And it is a beautiful place to live. I'm not saying that I don't deal with the real world challenges every day, but I've done so much kindness and self-love that it now allows me to share it with the world. So I want you to make a commitment. In the next 24 hours, what is one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? And write your answer in the chat. What is one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move toward your true self? And you can write that in the chat. And, I want you to know before we close that it's time for you to climb. It's time for you to launch. It's time for you to climb into the shuttle on the launch pad. A lot of people have been talking about Artemis. It's time to climb up to the launch pad so you can skyrocket into space. Staring at the stars is inspiring. I love staring at the stars. But it won't make you an astronaut. It won't. You have to launch. It's time to launch. The voyage only begins with the decision to climb aboard and soar to your destination. It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. Yeah, you go, Mark. Go get it. Mark set up his habit tracker. Way to take immediate action. Yeah, do that in the next 24 hours. You will feel much better. Start using that every day. Alexandra is going to organize the rest of her house. You get a lot of anxiety when it's not organized. You have to do this for a positive mindset. And once you do that, once you are settled and it's clear, then take action to get you towards your goal. We need to have a positive environment set up to accomplish our goals. And if the environment isn't right, then we feel off. So get that done. But then after that, what action are you going to take after that, Alexandra? After you have that positive mindset and you say, my house is so clean, what action are you going to take towards your true self? So the house cleaning is the beginning of setting the environment right. And once the environment is right, what are you then going to do to take action to live as your true self? It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person you see in your mind. Maybe it's that person you dreamt of when you were a kid. Maybe it's just a recent realization you've had. And it seems like it's either impossible or it's taking forever to get there. But it doesn't it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. You can either continue to go through the motions at work, or you can make your motions work. You can stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stay in that same painful job or create the career that you want. You can stare at the phone. Where am I? I'm looking for my phone so I have the visual. You can stare at the phone, or you can play with your kids. You can busy yourself on social media, or you can make real progress on your goal. You can sing the song you were meant to sing, or you can keep it bottled inside. These are all choices. Some of these are tough choices, but they're all yours and yours alone to make. I love this quote by Elizabeth Appel about becoming your true self. She said, and the day came when the risk it to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. How beautiful is that? It's your time to blossom. Your life is only created by you, and we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of happiness and bliss by deciding to do so, but staying tight in your bud is far more painful than the risk that it will take for you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you're meant to be. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life inspired, or live life like I got here, habitually inspired. It's time to blossom. You're capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Do not play small. Do not settle. You know what you're capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper. Alexander said journal. Yes, journal it. Write it down. Get it out of your head and down on paper. And then take action every single morning to get you closer to who you're meant to be. Closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter all that much. As Les Brown put it, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Don't aim for low targets accomplished by these small menial tasks, by all the distractions on the phone and the computer. Aim high. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and you start what was recommended today, you will find true freedom and happiness. Now, you can make excuses or you can awake with intention. Look yourself in the mirror, lock eyes with yourself and say, I love you. And then implement the steps prescribed today to return to your true self and be the person you are meant to be. The journey isn't always smooth, and roadblocks always pop up unexpectedly. But the tools provided here today help make the journey smoother and get you around the roadblocks faster. Those that love you will be there for you. I love you and will be there for you. I'm going to be here with you on your journey. I'm always happy to help guide you up the mountain as you climb to meet your true self. As your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, simply say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. Then walk into the bathroom, step in front of the mirror, lock eyes with yourself and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out into the world. The world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awake with intention, with your goals set and your habits aligned, put down the phone, turn off the negative news, and just listen. Listen to that still small voice inside and to your higher power. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear. But don't wait. Turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to live the life of your dreams, to be the person you are meant to be, to live your life of love, happiness, and bliss. I thank you for joining today. I hope that you remain habitually inspired. I hope I provided the tools to do so. Thank you, Mark. Love you too, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to tell someone you love them. Before we leave, though, I got some homework for you. Homework. Yeah, you got homework. You want to be your true self and live the life of your dreams, you got to do a little bit of work. First, take at least 15 minutes to imagine meeting yourself 10 years in the future. Do that visualization that we did for 5 minutes. Try to do it for 15 minutes. Try to get some real clarity on your true self. This is your purpose, who you're meant to be. Notice how you appeared, how you carried yourself, what you wore. Ask yourself what you've accomplished in 10 years. Ask what wisdom your future self has to share with you. So do that. And then do that practice of writing a letter from your future self. So you probably want to journal after you do step one. But then after that, you want to write a letter from your future self, yourself in 10 years to yourself today. That person you met in your mind to your current self, right? Yourself 10 years writes a letter to you today. What do they say to you? Keep that somewhere and refer back to it. I did this a couple years ago. I refer to it regularly. And what you'll find, well, I'll leave it up to you what you find. I want to come back to tomorrow to the community happy hour and tell me what you found, or come to the Focused and Free workshop, which, speaking of which, we'll cover now. But happy hour tomorrow, noon. Every Friday, we do Inspiration Nation Community Happy Hour. What is happy hour? We're not drinking. We're not going to the bar. We're not taking bong hits. Instead, we are coming together at noon to do a little bit of icebreaker, and then we're just going to cover, it's going to last no more than an hour. We celebrate our wins for the week, and then we talk about what we're going to look forward to, over the weekend, and then we set our intention for the next week. No more than 3. Remember, if we have more than 3 priorities, we have none. So no more than 3. What's our intention? What are our priorities for next week? That way, we go into the weekend calm and confident, and we go into the week poised and ready to go, knowing exactly what our priorities are, and we can weed out everything else. So, what you learned today is a really solid foundation to living as your true self. But truly living focused and free takes practice and consistency. So we have launched the True Self Project. So if you haven't done that yet or signed up for that, you should definitely check that out. We do have our Focused and Free workshop next week, followed by the Epic Daily Ritual workshop the following week. So Focused and Free workshop is next week, next Thursday, same time, same place, same bat channel. And I don't know, Chad, do we want to tease it out yet? We have planned, we have a retreat set that we're going to be doing in September called Rooted and Reignited, where we go into all of this in depth. It is 4 days, and it's going to be at the Trapp Family Lodge, Von Trapp Family Lodge in Stowe, Vermont. So if you've ever seen The Sound of Music, then you know the Von Trapp family. But they moved from Austria and they settled in Vermont and built this amazing lodge on the mountains, beautiful views, and we are going to have a retreat there in the fall. So excited, we'll be launching that in the next couple days here. Chad, you want to share that website or share the link? It may not be live yet. I may be getting ahead of myself. But anyway, we're excited to launch that. So join us for Focused and Free next week. Come to happy hour tomorrow. Follow us on social media. I just shot some new videos yesterday about Focused and Free. And you can always email me. Always get in touch. If you have any questions or want some feedback, you can reach me. You get the emails at inspire@benparvey.com, or you can email me directly at ben@benparvey.com. Always happy to provide some guidance and feedback on the different things that we cover, and really excited to have you as a part of our Inspiration Nation community. So happy to answer any questions if anyone has any questions or wants any feedback on some of the things we covered today. If not, hope to see you tomorrow at noon at the Inspiration Nation Community Happy Hour. Again, it'll be no longer than an hour, and it's just a way to inspire each other to go into the weekend strong and start next week in a clear and confident way. Happy to stay on. If you have questions, let me know. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Pleasure to see you, brother. Be good. Looking up at the big screen. Yeah, you're welcome, Rachel. Helped you get out of the rabbit hole. Well, glad you're out of the rabbit hole. It's springtime, time to get out of hibernation. And there are definitely options. There are tons of options for a path forward. It's absolutely limitless. I mean, there are endless choices every day, but yet there's really just one choice. That choice is seeing yourself with love, seeing your true self, and then taking the steps to become your true self. Alexander, you are well on your way to getting out of your rabbit hole. I definitely think you're moving in the right direction. Keep going, keep trying. Um, yeah, and Mark, we'll give you the link to the retreat. I don't know, Chad, is the retreat live yet? Can we send that link in here? Not yet. Okay. Yeah, I thought I was getting ahead of myself. So, Mark, we will have that up and email that out. Keep looking. We'll definitely be publicizing. It's going to be awesome, and really excited to get that launched. So, it's going to be 4 days, Thursday evening through a Sunday, September 10th through 13th. So, sorry, Chad did such a great job doing the website. And it's mostly done, but we got a couple details to put in there, so we will let you know that. Anyone have any questions or want any feedback? All right. If not, no big deal. You can always email me at ben@benparvey.com. Look forward to seeing everyone on Community Happy Hour tomorrow. If you can join us tomorrow at noon, and we will set our intention for next week. And we're going to celebrate our wins. Part of the point of Happy Hour is to close strong. Close your week strong. Best way to finish any race, any project, any week, any month, any year is to close strong. So we're going to close strong tomorrow. Join us for Community Happy Hour. We'll see you then. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon. And remember, stay inspired. Love you all. Be well.